Hi guys, welcome to lesson number 3, mean, median, mode, and range. Today, I'm going to ask that you grab a piece of paper and fold it in half. And then if you'll fold it in half again so that you will have quarters on your page. And then in each quarter of your page, I'd like for you to write mean, median, mode, and range. As we go through these Google Slides together, I'm going to define each one of these terms. I'm going to explain how we find this, and then I'll work one example of each of them, and then you'll be ready to do your assignment. So, of course, we're talking today about data, and sometimes when we collect a whole bunch of data or we're analyzing data, these are the kinds of terms that we use and the ways that we analyze our data. So let's begin with the term mean. So if you'll write in the upper left-hand quadrant of your notes, of course, I do want you to put this in your math journal. And a mean is simply an average of your data set. So you're going to have a set of numbers, and the way that we calculate the mean or the average of numbers in a data set, in a number set, is we're going to add all the numbers up, and then we're going to divide by the number of pieces of data that we have. Okay, so let me work an example with you. Example number 1 shows me 9, 1, 4, 2, 9, 10, and 7. And I'm going to, for ease, I'm going to just use my board back here. So we are going to add all of these numbers together. So I'm going to add 9 plus 1 plus 4, 2 and 9 and 10 and 7. So let's see, these two are 10. This is 16, 25, 35 plus 7 is 42. Okay, so when you add all the numbers in your data set, then you're going to divide that number by the number of pieces of data. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of data. And I know that 42 divided by 7 is going to be 6. So our answer, the mean average for this data set, is going to be 6. All right, so I don't have an eraser here at my house, but I have a cloth that I can use. All right, I'm moving on to median. Median, you're going to put in the top right-hand quadrant. If you'll write the definition that it is the middle number of your number set. So the word median actually sounds like the word middle. So hopefully that's an easy way for you to recall how to find this piece of data. So the way that we're going to find this piece of data is, and if you'll write down what's in yellow on this slide, first, and please don't forget to do this part, you're going to order the set of numbers from least to greatest. Then we're going to just circle that middle number. So I'm actually going to work 2 examples in for a median, because I'm going to work one example if the data set is an odd number and it works out perfectly and there's just one number that's in the middle. But what happens if it's an even number of data pieces and we have 2 pieces of data that are in the middle? So I'll work through a problem like that, but the answer to that question is simply we're going to take the average of those 2 pieces that are in the middle. And I'll work an example like that next. So let's move on to our slide. So remember that, and I want you to work this example on your piece of paper. You'll notice that we have 3, 5, 8, 11, 4, 2, and 1. And I'm going to first order the data from smallest to largest. So I'm going to write 1, and then what comes next, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have 8 and 11. Okay, so the way that I find the middle number is I start on either side and I just cross them out like this. Go back and forth, and then that leaves me with this very middle number, which is the median. And so in our first example, 4 is going to be my median. Let's work example number 2. So remember, and this is where students often mess up, they don't order their data, okay? So you've got to start from least to amount to the greatest amount. So I'm going to start with, in this next example, 3, and then I have a 4, and then I have a 4, and then I have a 6, and a 7, and an 8. So you'll notice in this example, I'm going to start on the left and then one on the right, and then one on the left and one on the right, and then I'm left with 2 data pieces in the middle. So in order for me to find the average of those 2 numbers, I'm going to add them together. So 4 plus 6 is 10, and then I'm going to divide that by 2. So my answer is 5. My median is 5. Okay, I'm moving on now to mode. Mode is going to be in the bottom left quadrant of your page. So you're going to write the definition of mode down here. The definition of mode says that this is the number that occurs the most in a data set. So the way you're going to find this number is you've got to order the data pieces, and then you're going to just make an assessment of how many of them is occurring the most. So I'm on this data example that I have, it looks like I have 3 zeros. And then I had 1, 2 number ones, and then I had 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 twos. So, and I hope you can see this. I do have duplicates, and I wanted you to see an example where there's a lot of duplicates. But in this example, the mode for this data set is going to be 2. 2 is my answer because I have the most of them. I have 4. That data piece occurs most often. Okay, I'm going to move on now to our very last term, which is the range. So I was going to sing Home on the Range for you because that's what I always think of when I hear the term range, but I'll spare you. So the range is the difference between our biggest number in the data set and our smallest number in the data set. So again, we're going to order our data pieces, and then we're going to look and we're going to circle our greatest number, we're going to circle our lowest number, and we're going to subtract them, okay, because we're looking for the difference. I'm going to work an example like that, and of course I'm going to want you to put the definition and an example here in the bottom right quadrant of your notes. I want you to keep this piece of paper out. That way when you work on your assignment a little later, you will have some examples, and it'll help your memory to know how to work these problems. Okay, so here's my range example. So remember, we always start with ordering our data. So in this case, I'm looking at my data. I see that I have a 2 and a 2 and a 3. And then what comes next? A 4 and a 5. I don't have a 6, but I have a 7, and no 8, but I have 2 9s and a 14. So when we're finding the range, after you've ordered your data set, you're going to circle your lowest number and you're going to circle your highest number, and then it becomes a subtraction problem. So you're going to take the biggest number and then subtract your smallest number, and that is your range. So in this data set, my range is going to be 12. Okay, guys, you know what comes next. Yep, it's your turn. So I want you to pop into iExcel and work on CC1. Of course, if you have any questions, please email me or join me in a Zoom tutorial and I'll help you. All right, as always, let's do some math.